And here's a permission slip for you. Only you get to decide if your business is successful. Did you know that? No one else gets to decide that. There is no official letter that you will get in the post with a certificate saying, congratulations, you have a successful business. I mean, you can do that for yourself if you want at any time, but only you get to decide that. Welcome to the Unconventional Business Podcast, your place for real stories of real people growing their businesses in the real world. Most of us are neurodivergent in some way, but of course everyone is welcome. This is the place for rule breakers, narrative dismantlers, and those who just want to forge their own unique path in the world. You will find no do it my way or 6 steps to 6 figures and all that BS here. My guests and I will offer guidance that allows you to take just the bits you like and easily apply them to your business. And of course, to bin the rest if you like. After all, building a successful business, whatever success means to you, is about creating something with structure and flow, not something rigid that feels like wearing someone else's clothes. Join me on this journey and together, let's do business differently. Today, we are going to be talking about the reality of the 5-figure business. Because, well, I don't see anybody talking about it. There's a lot of chat about 6-figure businesses. There's a lot of chat about 7-figure businesses. There's a lot of chat about reaching your first million. But who ever talks about 5-figure businesses? If anyone does, by the way, please let me know. I just don't see it. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today. And it also won out in a LinkedIn poll that I did the other week where I said, what should my next solo episode be on? And this was the winner. So let's talk about 5-figure businesses. Anecdotally, I would say probably over the last 6.5 years, I'm getting close to have spoken to in the thousands of business owners in random conversations on LinkedIn, one-to-ones, networking groups, my own work. And most people that I speak to, not everybody, but I would say on average, most people are looking for somewhere between 3 and 5k months. Sometimes somewhere between 5 and 10, but mostly that kind of range. Personally, I don't want a VAT register, right? I'm not interested in any of that jazz. So 7k a month for me is more than enough. And that's revenue, by the way. That's more than enough to pay myself, run my business and invest in my future and the future of my business. So let's look at some stats. I did a bit of research here to go, right, if this is me, and this is nearly everyone I've ever spoken to who runs a business, are we in the minority or the majority? So I did a bit of research into small businesses with revenue under 85k, because obviously whether you're VAT registered or not gives us an indication of that. So that's where the insight comes from, the VAT registration threshold in the UK. And yeah, that's kind of used as a proxy for businesses with that level of turnover. So the majority of businesses are unregistered for VAT. 3 million businesses, that's 54% of the estimated total of 5.7 million businesses, are classified as unregistered for either VAT or PAYE. So we are the majority, it turns out. And this is from the ONS business population estimates, by the way, which they try to estimate the size of the market. Obviously, this isn't going to be exactly accurate, but I do think it's interesting to get that view of like, if you are in a world of just dreaming of 3k months, and I was there only a few years ago, you are not in the minority. Everyone around you is not doing better than you, if that's your measure of success, and we will get onto that later. So 3.2 million businesses are sole proprietorships in the UK, and that represents 57% of the total business population. And 3 million of those didn't employ anyone aside from the owners. And only 12% of those sole proprietorships were registered for VAT and or PAYE. So that means the remaining 88% are unregistered. So again, if it is just you running your business, and that's the level that you are, the level that I'm talking about, just know that like most people in the same boat as you are in the same boat as you. You can go dig into these stats yourself, but what we're talking about here is that the largest single segment of the UK private sector business population is made up of very small businesses, often one-person operations, with turnover below the VAT registration threshold of 85k. So if that's you, carry on listening, because we're going to get into it. And also know you're in good company, despite what other people are talking about on Instagram. So there's another bit of context here to reinforce this, because I wasn't happy with just the business population estimates, OBS, had to do more of a deep dive. I wanted to sense check it. So the average monthly mortgage payment in the UK in 2024 was around £1,200 to £1,300, give or take. And the average cost of monthly private rent, based on data from May 2024, was £1,262 per month. So people are shelling out somewhere between £1,200 and £13 a month on a mortgage or rent. And obviously some of those people will be bearing that cost alone. Some of those people will be with a partner, and other people will be sharing. But it gives you a rough idea. And the average total household monthly expenditure in the UK for the year ending 2024 financial year was 2,700. So that's based on an ONS figure of average weekly household expenditure. So you would expect that to include bills and food, etc. So if you add the two together, you are looking at household estimate of about 4k. If you do base that on two people at least contributing, you're talking 2k each. And then you need to add on getting your hair cut and buying presents for your nan and putting fuel in your car and all the other things. So that kind of gives you maybe about 3k, 4k in total. And then if you run a business, obviously you're going to have business expenses and you're going to need to pay tax and you're going to need to put that on top. So very quickly, your business needing to make somewhere between 5 and 10k kind of makes sense. Obviously, depending on where you live, it might be lower and you're more in the 5k territory. But if you live near Winchester in Hampshire, where everything is freaking expensive, you're going to get closer to the 10k months area, but I don't want to VAT register, so it's only ever going to be 7 that I'm aiming for. So the key things I want to talk about today is, if all this is true, and there's lots of data to suggest it is, and anecdotally, I've got lots of conversations that I've had with people that would back this up, why are all the hustle bros telling us that we need to be making 20k or 50k or 100k months? Well, spoiler alert, it's because they're all trying to sell you something, right? And why are we buying into it? Why are we making that mean something about us? Why are we feeling shit about ourselves? So I want to talk about 3 things to break this down. The first is measurement. So how are you measuring your success? If we reject this narrative that if your business isn't doing over 100k, then you're a failure, what do we do instead? The second thing is common traps that I see in business owners. So where are people getting tripped up and struggling with accidentally putting a ceiling on their revenue, or getting into the nitty-gritty of finances, what they're struggling with. And finally, some potential solutions based on my work with business owners, most of whom are neurodivergent. So let's talk about measurement. And here's a permission slip for you. Only you get to decide if your business is successful. Did you know that? No one else gets to decide that. There is no official letter that you will get in the post with a certificate saying, congratulations, you have a successful business. I mean, you can do that for yourself if you want at any time, but only you get to decide that. I really want to invite you to think about, how are you measuring your own success? Is it revenue? Is it the amount of time you take off in a year? Is it your physical and mental health? Is it the results you get for your clients? Is it the size of the smile on your face when you go to bed at night? It can be any or all or none of those things. The point is, you get to decide. So for me, for example, my business allows me to be at the school gates every day, to take about 10 or 11 weeks off a year, to work 24 hours a week, and to be the present parent that I want to be for my son, who is of primary school age, and to really enjoy the work that I do whilst I am at my desk and he is at school, and feel like I am making a difference in the world and helping people. And all of that is underpinned by being able to do what I need to do to have the best physical and mental health I've probably ever had in my entire life, and to be happy and to experience joy, and to go to bed every night going, do you know what? I had a good time today. So yeah, those are my measures of success. The money is a tool. The money that comes in is a tool that facilitates me to do all of that stuff. It's not, for me, a goal in and of itself. It's not motivating enough. I just don't care about it enough. I really want to invite you to think, what motivates you? What matters to you? What are your values? On your deathbed, what would you be really glad that you did or didn't do? Throw out all those narratives and shoulds and all that hustle bro shit about six-figure businesses and decide what your measures of success will be. How will you know that it's working? And remember, only you get to decide if your business is successful. So let's talk about some common traps that I see people fall into. And this is mostly from a pot of ADHD business owners, but I don't think their challenges are exclusive to them. I think they apply to a lot of business owners. The first one of which is hourly charging. Like, oh my God, that really can get in the bin. It is fraught with so many problems. Say that you are a copywriter and you charge yourself out at 40 quid an hour and you get a few clients on board and things are going pretty well. And at some point you think, okay, I can't take any more clients on without working loads more time. I'm already working evening and weekends. Like, this is not sustainable. What am I doing wrong? Firstly, you're doing nothing wrong. You just haven't got the information that you need to break through that ceiling. A good guiding question here is something I always say is, how can I make more money in less time? The answer to building your business and it being more successful is almost never to put more time into it. It's to be more clever with the time that you're using. More clever or cleverer? I don't know. More clever sounds wrong. And I have been through this process with so many of my clients over the years. And I will talk about the solution to this later on in the solution section. But yeah, if you are in that place of thinking there's no more time to put into this, most people will tell you to just put your prices up. But how do you do that? Do you double them? Do you triple them? Do you raise them for new clients and not existing clients? How do you make all of that work? We will talk about that later. Just know that you're not alone and you're not doing anything wrong, and there is a solution to that. The next trap I see people fall into is not taking enough time off. Like, ye gods, did you start a business to become your own worst boss? No, probably not. It was probably to escape some whip-cracking shitbag, right? So why are you doing it to yourself? Why are you expecting yourself to work all the hours and not giving yourself time off? You don't have to put in a request, by the way, for time off. You can just block it out in your diary whenever you want. And I think the thing here that really breaks my heart is what people say to me is, I can't afford to take time off. I'm not earning enough in my business. I need to go find some clients. And I'm like, the question actually is, can you afford not to take time off? Because what you are doing is pushing and beasting yourself towards burnout. The answer to earning more money is to take time off. Like, A, you will replenish your energy reserves. You will have time to process what is working and not working. You will probably have some amazing ideas. And this is nearly always true for me, but if I take a big chunk of time off and I say I'm not available, I will come back to someone, at least one person, inquiring or booking a call with me. Like, I don't know. There's some other manifestation energetic shit going on there. I don't know. But can you afford not to take time off? Because you are your most precious resource. Please don't treat yourself like shit. I often ask my clients when they say how hard they're working and what they're doing and how they can't afford to take time off. I'm like, would you treat an employee like this? And then they're like, oh no. And I'm like, well, there you go. The next one is the boom bust cycle. So like, classically, you do all the marketing, so much marketing, because you're quiet and you overthink everything and you've got all this time and you're like, or you feel completely paralyzed and you're like, I don't know how to do marketing. And then maybe you get some clients and then you get busy and then you're fully booked and then you don't do any marketing at all. And so you keep rinsing and repeating that boom and bust cycle. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually believe that business is cyclical. I think there is a cyclical nature to it. I think seeing it as a cycle is actually really valuable. Almost like the seasons, you know? You have a winter period where you're a bit quiet and you have an opportunity to be a bit introspective and rest and sit under a blanket and do what you need to do to recover from whatever has been happening lately. And then out of that will come the sort of kernels and seeds of some new ideas, and then you'll start to emerge and you'll start to scatter them and see how people respond to them. And then you'll move into summer. Oh my God, everyone wants to work with you. It's amazing. It's all happening. And then things will start to slow down. It's autumn. You shed some things. You shed your leaves, you know? Some things die off. Not all the ideas, not all the clients, not all the projects were the one. And then you go into winter, your introspective period, going, okay, what worked, what didn't? What new seeds would I want to sow in the next spring? And I think if you approach it that way and you lean into that cyclical nature, the really cool thing is you get to drive it rather than being at the mercy of it. And I think this is particularly important for neurodivergent folks who are all beating themselves with a consistency stick. But guess what? We don't bring the same energy to every day, to every week, to every month. We don't, for a whole host of different reasons. So yeah, think about, and I think it was Sherelle Griffith that said this. It's something I've thought for a long time, but often it takes somebody else to articulate it for me to go, oh yes, that's what it is. She said in a post a few years ago, your version of fully booked still needs to allow time for enough marketing. And she is spot on with that. So you need to build permanent marketing activities into your week and how you plan your time. It can't be a nice to have. Otherwise, you will keep yourself stuck in that boom bust cycle. And then I also want to talk about money a bit. So regardless of what my coaching clients turn up with that they want to work on, almost without exception, at some point we've talked about money. So the reality here is whatever money, beliefs, stories, habits, narratives you've got in your personal life from your experience, they will manifest themselves in your business. You just can't get away from that. You might not notice it. It's taken me a really long time to notice it in my own business, but it's true. So it's really worth reflecting on how your relationship is with money. And I've done a lot of work on this, and I continue to do a lot of work on this. I'm a recovering debtor, right? I never got taught how to manage money. I didn't know I was an ADHDer. All I ever believed was I was shit with money, and that it was this magical thing that other people knew how to do, and I didn't. And I didn't know how to make it better. I got into 30 grand's worth of personal debt by my mid-20s. Was very fortunate to have some help, a loan from a family member to pay it off, but I never fixed the behaviour, and so I got back into about 20 grand's worth of personal debt by my early 30s. And then I had this epiphany that I just wasn't allowing myself enough spending money. Like I wasn't being realistic. And so being realistic allowed me to pay off that debt and to stop borrowing. So that was a really big move, but I got stuck there. And because I wasn't borrowing, I just kind of signed off like this is as good as things will get for me with money. And then it's only in my 40s that I've started to go, but we're not doing anything about our future. And I've realised that I am still, when money comes in, I'm just looking at what I can spend it on. And I'm not borrowing, but I'm still spending too much. And I've done that in my business. Any surplus money, I've not saved it for a rainy day. I've invested it back into the business. I've done more training. I've worked with a coach. All great things to spend money on. Like I wouldn't say I've wasted money, but I just haven't stockpiled any of it. I've not saved any acorns. I've not buried any acorns for the winter, if we're to take the squirrel analogy. And that's what I'm now currently working on in my personal life and in my business. So it's really important to think about your attitude to money, your habits, how it looks, because it will play out. It will be in there, those beliefs. I think my core belief was I'm not allowed to keep money. And so anytime I got any, I would look to spend it, often on other people. So yeah, have a think about how that might be playing out. So my big solution after all the thinky bits that you're going to go and do as a result of this episode is what I call the real hourly rate calculator. I have one of these. Drop me an email if you would like this and I will send it to you. Or you can do it on a back of a fag packet if you want, or an envelope. Don't think anyone smokes anymore, do they? And the idea is to take all of your personal outgoings, your rent or mortgage, your bills, your car, food, haircuts, saving for holidays, whatever you want to do, add that into a total amount, and then layer on top, right, what costs have I got to run my business? I mean, for me, it probably cost me somewhere between 500 and 700 quid just to run my business every month, because I outsource some stuff, I have subscriptions to platforms, I have to pay for my website hosting, etc., etc. And then layer on top what you would need to save for tax, and obviously that will be different based on whether you're self-employed or a limited company. And then you'll get to a total amount, and then maybe layer on top of that actually what money you want to invest in your business. What do you want to be saving up for? Like some form of CPD or a retreat you want to go on, or working with somebody like a coach or a copywriter or a branding person or a photographer. And then you'll quite quickly get to, okay, this is the amount of revenue I need to be making per month. Then you do the same with your hours. So you go, right, this is the amount of hours I can realistically, and I urge you to be realistic here, these are the amount of hours I can realistically work in a week. Now I've got to take off time for marketing, time for admin, time for those networking events, time to rest, because I'm not a fucking robot. And most people tend to get to, over the hours I can work, so for me it's 24 in a week, I can only sell about 10 or 12 of those to other people. Once you do those maths with your hours, you will realise you can probably only sell about half of your time to somebody else. So if you divide the revenue that you need to be bringing in by those hours, you will realise what your real hourly rate is. And I'm not saying you need to raise your prices to that right now, but have a think about things you could package up that would get you closer to that. And look at all the things you offer in the round. Not everything has to be at that hourly rate, but there need to be some things that are getting close to it. Or when you average it out, you're getting close to it. So like I said, I've got a big old calculator in a spreadsheet. If you like spreadsheets or you can bear them, drop me an email and I will send it to you. Or you can do this all by yourself, or you can do this on a piece of paper at a top level. But I urge you to get real with it, because that is what will help you break through that ceiling, and that is ultimately what will get you the money in the time that you actually have, so that you can do all the other things that you identified that are your measures of success and that you feel good about and that you enjoy. I really hope you have got something out of this episode. Please email me or leave a comment on whatever platform you're listening, because I would love to know what has hit home today. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, also let me know. That's it for now. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do drop this podcast a rating or review. I'd be ever so grateful to reach more of those that need to hear it. So I'd also like to ask you a favour. Who do you know that would benefit from listening to this episode? Please hit share and send it to them too. Thanks so much for listening, and I can't wait to see you here next time. Let's do business differently.